I would like to welcome you to our Defunded Schools program. I'm so glad you could come and join us. We wanted the best to talk to you and tell you what's happening with it, and we do have the best here. Yeah. Our next speaker is LuAnn. She's from Whitnall School District. She's on the school board.
To be with all of these esteemed speakers here, president of the Whitnall School Board. Yeah, I'm so encouraged when I go door to door, and when you listen to people's hearts and when you actually inform them about what's going on, they really do care about our kids, and they care about public education. So, you know, we have to just continue to connect the dots to what's going on, and who better to do that than your local school boards. So, you know, I'll encourage you to really get involved in that process and really talk to your school board members. And going to meetings is boring, I know sometimes, but, you know, find out what they're doing and what they're spending time on, and maybe you can get things changed at the local level. A little bit of my history: I was on the school board back in the 90s in Oshkosh, so I go a long ways on school board governance and really have kind of been an expert. I'm not going to go into all of that. I was a school board consultant for the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, moved to Alabama, was a school board consultant down there, and then 3 years ago came back. Instead of going to Oshkosh, my kids are in Wauwatosa, and they're teachers, by the way, in those choice schools that we disagree with, and I can tell you stories about that. But anyway, we moved back here to be with our kids, and ended up in the Whitnall School District because my husband's in a wheelchair, and they simply had a wheelchair house that worked for us. So that's my life. And so when I got there, I sort of decided to retire and not work, and I babysit my 2 grandkids every day, and they're little, so I kiss babies and schmooch with them all day long. It's so much fun. But then I decided, well, what can I do in my local community? And the school board, of course, is where my first interest in, you know, that's where my heart was. So I went to the couple school board meetings, and long story short, 2 years ago I ended up on the board. So the first year was tough. I mean, divided board. These budget cuts are going on, and some of these school boards are just okay with that. I mean, they're willing to just accept these cuts, and it was a good old boy network. It was very divided. I didn't have an agenda other than kids, so it was okay. You know, the first year, you know nothing, no matter what your background is. When you get elected to a school board, you know nothing. So the first year, by the way, there was 2 people running for 2 seats. You're wondering, how can she get elected? When you're new, you can't really. So, but when there's only 2 running and 2 seats, you know, I didn't have to campaign. So I got on the school board, divided board. They didn't levy to the max, so that's what happens at the local level. As bad as those levy limits are, if you don't levy to the max, you then have set your district up for less money for eons. So there's a real negative part to that, and that is what had been going on in the Whitnall School District. Also, the hard part is sometimes you're going to see an 8% increase because the state keeps cutting, and that is hard for local school boards to sell to their taxpayers, is we're going to increase by 8%. So the first year, you know, that's what's been going on my board, very divided. 2 guys got off. Goodbye. I said, good. You know, 2 new guys got on, and they said, would you be president? I said, okay. Are you sure? You know, because I don't really know people. But I do know school boards, and I've learned something. And I'll tell you, the book I read that I think helped me learn the importance of the relationship side is called Choosing Civility. So, you know, back in the 90s, by the way, we passed 2 referendums when I was on the board back then. So I'm kind of optimistic at the local level because you can do something about it. But anyway, spin forward. So here I am, this divided board, this smaller community. Now I'm president. What can we do? And I keep working with my colleagues to build trust and to talk about what our role is as school boards. And I wish we would spend a lot more time at events like these, talking with people like you and contacting our legislators so that this kind of stuff would stop, because we have enough power. We're the school board. We got elected by our local people, so there is something behind that, right? So anyway, so I thought the first year, pulled our team together, we did some board development, get to know each other, get to talk about what is our role and how do we set the vision and how do we advocate for our kids, those kinds of things. Well, I can't give you all the details, but I will tell you, so we had all these big facility needs, and the good old boys that got off were not going to deal with it. They didn't even hold a finance and facility committee meeting for 3 months. They just wanted to kick the cat down the road. We get elected, and young woman, mom in our district's on the board. She wants to be the finance and facility chair. She chairs it. I'm board chair. Well, the two of us just knocked it out. I mean, we just said, okay, what do we need? Let's keep studying. Let's get the numbers to the board. What do we need to do? So in less than a year's time, so in April, with the new board, with colleagues that were willing to work with me, that we are all willing to work together, not without some disagreement and some tension at times, but I just kept honoring who my colleagues are. They come from all walks of life, but let's focus on the kids. Let's focus on what we need to do here. What are our goals? How can we create those goals? How can we then focus our budget on those goals? So here we are with all these big numbers. What do? We end up doing a survey. And there were energy projects, there's this whole new school we need, and there's a pool that's not deep enough. So we did a survey and we found out there's really a lot of support in the survey. That again gave me, when you get good survey questions, good ones, you got to be careful on that. They were good questions, a lot of support for a referendum for Hales Corners Elementary. So we were like encouraged, maybe we can pass a referendum. Second one was the energy, a lot of support for that. I mean, it was like 64% or something like that, even higher for parents, like up in the 70% range, the people that would support it. You wouldn't think that in Whitnall, would you? That's Hales Corners. Anyway, and then the pool, only like 51%. So it's like, well, when I first looked at that, I thought if we put all 3 questions out there, we'd pass the first 2, third one would go down. Now, we're elected school board members. We didn't have a lot of time because the referendum was coming up fast. The deadline to get it on the April was coming up fast. So but we continued to study. I continued to go up and down every board member on every step of the way. I said, no, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I laid the groundwork. If we don't have a unanimous board, it's going to go down. So what can we agree on? And everyone was very respectful of that. And we all had time to talk about it. And we had a lot of additional meetings. And we said, do you agree on these energy projects? Yes, we do. Do you agree on the pool? Yes, we do. Do you agree on the new school, or should we remodel or move it, close it, and move it over here to the middle school? That was an option, but the survey really supported the new school more than the other 2 options. So it was tough. We had some, like I said, all walks of life on our board, but we ended up saying, okay, let's give it to you. I'm just assuming you're all living in my district. If not, would you please move there by April 7th? So we said, let's just put it out to the voters and let them decide. And it's painful for boards to do that. When you step up for your kids, for these little kids, and you say, this is what our kids need. So those 2 good old boys, the minute we vote that, they're out there creating the no group. And of course, they're, former board president and board members, and then a village board member, and just, it's tough. These are some community leaders that just stepped right up and said, no, we don't want this. So I tried to lay low, because I'm the board president, but I couldn't. We have to have a voice. We created the Friends of Whitnall Facebook page. Now there's 2 people co-chairing it. April 7th, I don't know what's going to happen. But here's the other thing. I kept coaching my school board. We kept, it was hurting. Some of our neighbors don't want to talk to us anymore because we stepped up. We took the lead, and we said, this is what we need. So it's going to be almost a $30 million referendum on the ballot here, April 7th. And that's what your local school boards need to do. It'll raise taxes. And I'm getting to go door to door again and listen to people's views. So many people will say, I'm thinking about it. Okay, what are your thoughts? Tell me what you're thinking, because when they hear the true story, not what the no people are putting out, but the true story, I believe most people will support this referendum. So that's my life right now. I'm out there trying to, not do it myself, but build this coalition in the community of people that are willing to support it. I just wanted to mention a couple other things. The other thing I did, right? Let's have a legislative forum with Greendale and Greenfield, so that the 3 of us brought in our legislators, Mary Lazich, David Craig, and 2 other ones. That's who I'm living with. That's tough. But we really kept the agenda mild because we wanted to build the relationships so that when we needed to really go back to them, we could. And I think it really did help to set a pretty good tone. So it's not changing anything yet, obviously, but it's a start. So we do that. Our board focuses more on some of those advocacy issues. We're out there trying to pass a referendum. And guess what? If this thing goes down, here's the other cool part. We're not going to sit around and feel bad. Some boards do. We're like, okay, we'll just keep working at it. We'll be back in a year. We're telling people, we'll be back, because that's what it's all about. So I do want to mention that in closing, this is kind of why I do it. This was another post that I put out. I posted the picture of, I guess it's not going to come up, my husband in a wheelchair holding a vote yes sign, and I said, we're sure aware of what barriers are. Why would we do this to our children? Why would we continue to do this to our children? I'll just leave it at that.